What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shook Earth Media, and today we are talking about Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 12. This is the fourth episode of Part 2, and just in general, this episode, it's a bit more of a middle-of-the-road episode. Lots of talking, lots of dialogue. There's a lot going on under the surface. This episode's clearly about setting up for later payoffs, but there's not a lot that happens, so I can't really say, oh, it was an amazing episode, this was a great episode. It's a little on the short side in terms of moving the plot forward. However, it is good enough in terms of the conversations that are had, and I feel like it's important enough where there's a lot of beats that are important to hit. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad episode or anything. I like this episode. However, it slows down the progression of the plot. Now, of course, you do need episodes like this. However, I will say the most interesting thing, and why I have the headphones on today, is the preview for next week's episode. And I was like, what the hell is going on? What is this preview? What the fuck? What is happening? That's why I have the headphones on, because we're just going to react to the trailer. We're going to start off with that, and then we'll go into my review. Because there's a little bit less to say with the review this week. But yeah, we're going to just jump into this reaction to this trailer. Because half of me is like, I don't want to poison the well here, but there's spoilers in this. So if you're watching this video, you've already seen the episode. So I'm like, is this another filler arc? Is it going to be 4 episodes of this storyline to pad out the rest of part 2? Or is this just a one-off episode? Because if it's a one-off episode, I'm intrigued. If it's 4 episodes of this, man, it's gotta prove to me that it is worthy of that. I'm just like perplexed. What is happening here? What even is this? Let's just check it out.
There's a group on the western border. We want to make first contact and offer them help.
So there's a group on the western border of what? Of where? Of theirs? Place of the Commonwealth? Is this something that they were requested to do? Is this something that Lance has for them to do? Is Lance trying to make a deal with this group? Is there some kind of subterfuge, political stuff going on? What is this group? How do we get involved with them? Why are we bothering with them? I feel like we've seen this building before. Is this not where we've had a couple scenes before? I mean, of course, they reuse locations. So we've seen her in the trailer, and now we know, okay, presuming that she's the leader of this group or something. And, yeah, I mean, at this point in The Walking Dead, it's like every leader is a woman now, and it's like, it was a little bit the other direction before, but now it's like full the other way. It's like, can we get a little bit of variety? I mean, I guess we had Pope, but kind of funny now. But somebody pulls up a horse outside of Hilltop. There's a water tower. Maggie on her own.
There's no way Milton doesn't notice.
I'm intrigued, but there's a battle going on. Their Commonwealth soldiers are being killed. Was it them though? I mean, she's got a bloody knife. Did they kill them? Like, I hope not. Did they come out of this car? What is going on?
Solution.
So Gabriel and Aaron, presuming, are on a peacekeeping mission, and it goes awry? Maybe? See, we get Lance at his desk with the lighting, the shadows, and he's this big shady guy. So I have no idea what I'm supposed to get from that preview, in all honesty. Like, I don't know how any of that has to do with anything happening in this episode. It feels almost like it's a bottle episode in and of itself, like it's not related to anything else. That's just how it felt watching it the first time. I'm sure when the episode actually comes out, it's gonna make more sense. But that's what I wanted to lead off with, guys. But now we're just gonna jump back into our review here. So we start off this episode kind of dealing with the fallout of last week's episode with Eugene. And now, of course, we got the real Stephanie, a.k.a. Max, a.k.a. Mercer's sister. She is retelling the story of her side of things as far as the radio conversations go. So my thing with this part of the episode is that I don't think we need this information at all. I don't think we learn anything new. I don't think we get a new perspective on anything. I really do think this is just, I don't want to say a waste of time, but it's like minutes, many minutes in this episode, like 4 minutes. I mean, we got 48 minutes in an episode, and we're spending, the first 5 or 6 on flashbacks for stuff we already knew about. I mean, we didn't know that she repaired a radio. I just kind of assumed that she was assigned to the radio, as far as, like, I think that's how it was in the comic, but it kind of makes sense, that she would repair it because she's Pamela's secretary. She's not, like, a person that is dealing with electronic things. Now, I would have thought that, where did she learn how to repair radios and deal with that kind of stuff? Is it just a hobby? Maybe she has a book lying around. That's some information that would have been interesting to know, but even that's, like, really not that important. But, so yeah, I mean, this opening flashback stuff, not really all that into. And honestly, we get more into her and Eugene's, like, budding relationship stuff. It's honestly the most cringeworthy part of the episode. Yeah, after this whole flashback thing, he kind of brushes her off. Mercer discovers the radio and then takes matters into his own hands. Because, of course, it's a big breach of rules to be communicating with an outside group. So that all makes sense. I find it interesting that Stephanie is Mercer's sister. That was not an element in the comics. And also, I mean, her name was actually Stephanie in the comics, but now it's like her mother's name. So, I mean, again, we're just, they're adding layers to this storyline that I don't know really needed to be there. I don't really know that we needed the fake Stephanie thing. It makes sense to a degree that the Commonwealth would be more cautious, in the whole Mercer thing. I just don't know why it was necessarily better to do it that way. It's just kind of like adding a few extra layers of confusion. But anyways, we got the whole ice cream scene and all that stuff. I mean, it's stuff we already knew. Of course, I mean, I don't know how she expected Eugene to react in this moment. But I do. She's like really slighted by the fact that he walks off and is like, I'm sorry, I can't. Or I forget exactly what he says, but she's like really slighted by that and really takes offense to it. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but like, I just can't really sympathize with that. I mean, this man has been put through the ringer, and and then we get that kind of cringy scene between them at the end. We'll get back to that when we get there. But this is like the A plot of this episode. The Eugene thing is kind of like a C or D plot. The bulk of this episode is about Lance bringing Pamela to Alexandria, Oceanside, which I thought Oceanside was gonzo, but apparently they still exist, which is news to me, in all honesty, but I'm glad to see it back in the forefront here. And Lance brings her to Hilltop as well. He's trying to broker a deal where expanding the sphere of influence of the Commonwealth and kind of making these almost like a satellite colony type of situation where there's, trade going back and forth. There's people going back and forth. He wants to create this bigger world, and Pamela at the end says that he just wants to be in charge of this place, which maybe, and, I am curious about his motivations here, what he thinks he can get out of it. It would make more sense to me if, Alexandria had some kind of precious resource, whether that's like, I don't know if it's oil or something. It just the fact that, he's trying so hard to bring them into the fold. It's almost a little overboard. I do get the sense that there is something more going on that he wants. And I think it's more than just like he wants to be the leader, even though we know that he does. It just feels like there at least should be something there. But I mean, I like this conversation. I especially like Mercer and Daryl in this episode. Like, Daryl's kind of reveals more of his true self to Mercer at this point. You know, he's not trying to fit in to the Commonwealth and doing his job as a soldier. He's just Daryl here, and it's refreshing to see that. And we get to see, because Daryl this season really hasn't been himself very much. I mean, we've had him undercover with the Reapers, and you know, he's not really himself when he's trying to be a soldier in the Commonwealth. So it's nice to see that, I will say. And I like their dynamic here. And I like this. This is a great touch as well. You got Pamela looking at a picture of Deanna, the former leader of Alexandria, and of course she was known to be a senator, and that was her backstory. And of course, Pamela, being from a politically connected family, being the daughter of a former president and the niece of another senator, they are of course in the same circles, and of course they would know who each other are. She probably knows every senator, more or less. So it makes sense to me that they would know each other, and that connection there makes so much sense. And they talk about how she was a good leader and what she was trying to do, and Daryl says that she brought us in, and that was a really good thing, and that he really respects her. And of course, a walker comes in, and that kind of spoils the mood. Pamela wants to leave after that. She's seen enough. So the walker coming in is really something that damaged this. And I almost would have liked it better if there was some force within the Commonwealth that was here trying to sabotage this. That would make it interesting to me. Maybe they will go that route. But like, if somebody let that walker in on purpose just to spoil this meeting, that would be interesting to me. As it is, you know, it makes sense, and we want to feel like we're on the outs from an audience standpoint. So that makes sense, and I like it. So yeah, most of the episode deals with this whole political situation, you know, trying to bring the Commonwealth into the lives of Alexandria. Of course, we got the big part with trying to convince Maggie. That's a lot of this episode. We'll get back to that later. But the B storyline is, okay, now Ezekiel is getting a surgery. And there really isn't any follow through with it. It's just like, yeah, he's getting the surgery. That's it. The best part of it is when he has a conversation with Carol about it, where he realizes that she did something, and he's saying that it's unethical because a lot of other people need help. Carol has a great retort that Pamela would not hesitate to do that with her son, and worse men than you have been the beneficiary of shady deals like that, so, and done nothing with it. And that's one of those conversations that's why I do like this episode ultimately, because you see both perspectives and they're both correct. That's really what a testament to good writing is, when you create two characters at opposite ends of a particular argument or conversation, and they're both coming at it from a realistic perspective that has its internal logic, makes total sense, and they're both correct ultimately. So I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, and then we get this. I think we're on a green screen here. It's kind of weird, but they're at the ocean, and that's why I was thinking, like, where are they right now? And it turns out they're at Oceanside, and I was like, bro, I thought Oceanside was done. Am I the only one that thought Oceanside was like, I thought they were finished, I say, but you know, like, hey, they're here. It's been a while, but it's cool that they're there. That's cool. Yeah, and then we get, you know, dealing with the zombies, and it's another coincidence thing. I mean, there's another action scene later. It just feels obligatory. Like, there's really no stakes here. It feels like they just put it there just to, like, show you, yeah, this is a zombie show. and we just need to have zombies in this episode. Which it's weird because the comic was not afraid to have an issue without zombies in it, but the show seems to be scared of doing that. But anyways, I mean, that's just a side point. So they run into Maggie and several people from Hilltop on the road. You guys know, if you've been watching my reviews, especially with Fear, the coincidence thing has been bugging me. They haven't done it on the main show as much. So having a coincidental run in here, I just wish, I don't know, I wish there was something to set it up. But, you know, ultimately it's not a big deal. I do like, you know, the conversations with Maggie. I will say, yeah, and then they have this whole thing where they decide to go hunting. Or Pamela basically wants some one-on-one time with Maggie, which all that makes sense, but the fact that they have it like, oh, they're dealing with a herd up there, so we're just that's gonna be off screen and we're gonna go hunting, but we don't actually ever see any real hunting happening. Like, I was confused what they really meant. Do they mean they're hunting walkers or they're really looking for deer? I would have thought that if we're gonna go have so much of this episode deal with that we would have an actual deer or something in the scene, but there isn't anything. And I mean, I do like this conversation here. We already talked about this scene with Carol, an excellent scene, really like it. I don't feel like this is gonna work out. You know, I don't see what the point of this storyline would be if he gets his surgery and it all is good. So I have trouble. I think Ezekiel's gonna die. Or at least that's the only thing that would really move the story forward in any significant way. So I think he's gonna die, and a lot of people are speculating that the Carol Daryl spinoff is a red herring and that it's not really happening, and that Daryl's gonna die and take the place of Rick's death in the comics. I would say that's a maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. I do think that they are doing the show though, because they announced it. I don't think they would just announce it as a red herring, especially with two of their biggest stars and the fact that they don't really have another big show, a new thing on the horizon other than the movies. But so I mean, if presuming that it's happening, they can't really have Ezekiel alive if Carol's gonna go running off with Daryl and do their own thing, unless something happens in their relationship that's some kind of fissure, which I suppose this could be. This disagreement here, the fact that Carol, you know, pulled in some favors to get him saved ahead of somebody else, especially if Ezekiel becomes close with somebody else who's on the list who needs surgery and ends up dying as a result. That I see could create a fissure in their relationship that leads to them. But I'm still, my gut is telling me Ezekiel's gonna die. I doubt it's gonna be in surgery, but I don't know. Something's not gonna work out. And we get this scene with, we get Eugene and Rosita, and you know, this scene's, it's good. You know, they're just dealing with the fallout of the situation, and I find it interesting that Eugene starts off the conversation talking about how he lied to her in the past when he was making up all that stuff about, you know, getting to DC and creating a cure and all that. But then he kind of lies to her at the end of the scene, which I think was intentional in terms of writing. But he doesn't so much, it's a lie by omission. He tells her that, you know, Stephanie broke up with him. But he doesn't tell her about the whole spy situation, that she was faking it and all that. Maybe it happens off screen, so maybe he's not really lying to her. I just found that interesting, a nice touch. This, again, it's another scene. I don't know. Again, I'm still like, I don't really know if we really needed this Eugene storyline. It made for a good episode last week, but I just feel like it's kind of resolved by the end of this episode, and the episode, the scenes in this episode with Eugene, I mean, the acting is good. It's just like really kind of cringy to me. I don't know. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is that makes me feel that way. But like, especially, I mean, the sappy music in the opening scene, the sappy music whenever he's getting emotional, and then especially when he and Max get together at the end, bro, it's just like, it goes on way too long. And yeah, I don't know. We'll get back to it. But yeah, I like this disagreement here where Maggie isn't going to accept a deal. Of course, we knew that based on the flash forward several weeks ago. Maggie's not going to take the deal. And we got a bit of a disagreement here where, I forget her name right now. Linda? I don't know. I like this character, but she makes her own decision and is like, yeah, I don't want to deal with the situation. The Commonwealth can help. We should go with them. And then she leaves at the end. And I like that dynamic, but part of me is like, who's left at Hilltop? Is it really just Maggie? Like, who is there with her? I mean, she doesn't have... If Jesus was still around, we'd have a number 2 that was reliable. As far... I mean, who's left? We got the masked dude, whose name I forget, and we got Lydia. And that's like it. I mean, honestly, I don't really... You know, the Oceanside thing, they're like, we won't be on this deal because Hilltop has protected us, we have a pact with them, etc. Hilltop feels like 6 people at this point, and half of them leave at the end of the episode. How good is that protection deal really worth? So that's where it kind of falls apart to me. And I will say, I don't really know that they did the best job at really explaining to the audience. Like, I get why Maggie doesn't want to sign on to the deal. She says at the end that there's always a cost, and I like that. But I don't think they did a great job of, like, illustrating why that could be. You know, maybe that there's an example from the past where they have gotten shorted before. Maybe, what is she scared of? We see her at one point kind of look at the soldiers and the militarized aspect of them when Mercer's getting them to march in formation, and she has a look on her face of, like, disapproval. And I can understand, you know, her fear of where that could lead. But we don't really have a great example. You know, maybe if it was something where the Reaper storyline paid off a little better, maybe we could have had, like, oh, they made a deal, and then the Reapers reneged on the deal, and now she's not trusting anybody, or something. I don't really, that's my misgiving with this part, is I feel like they could have done, especially since most of the episode is devoted to this, trying to convince Maggie, and it doesn't work out. I feel like it could have been explained a little better. So that's my point there. I really like this scene with Lydia and Daryl. It does feel a little forced. Like, I mean, there's so much happening in this episode that there wasn't really enough time to devote to it. But Lydia's talking about, like, when is the right time to walk away? You know, in terms of rebuilding and trying to move things forward and just dealing with where she's at. Now, I'm surprised she doesn't walk away with what's-her-face at the end. With this setup of, like, when's the right time to walk away, I'm surprised she doesn't walk away at the end. Maybe she did and I just missed it. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that conversation. And talking with Mercer here is all good. Ezekiel getting the surgery. We're talking with Maggie. And, I mean, this negotiation just doesn't go well. And it's good writing, but I do feel like Lance should have had a better plan going in here. But, yeah, I do like the dynamic, you know. And, you know, we got the zombies coming in. And this is the obligatory scene I was talking about. You know, it doesn't really... there's no stakes here, you know, we're not worried about anybody. There's a part where I think it just happened, but he flips a zombie over his back, which is cool, but, like, I don't know, it seems like kind of impractical to me, but, you know, it made me chuckle a little bit. But this situation ends with him commanding them all to shoot, but they're just standing there. That's the thing, like, I feel like Mercer should have been like, get down. You know, told everybody to get down. Because he's in the line of fire as well, and there's friendlies in danger, and, I mean, bullets don't just stop. They keep going through, and they can also get misdirected when they hit things. You know, for people who don't deal with guns or anything, and bullets and all that. If you shoot a zombie, you shoot a person, The bullet doesn't always, it goes through, so not all the time, but these are zombies, so it's presumably there's less structural integrity to the body. So it goes through, but it might bounce off a bone or something and then be misdirected. So you might not even be, they might shoot this zombie and the line of fire is nowhere near Maggie, but maybe it bounces around the skull a little bit and comes out this way and hits her. So that's why I think like he should have warned them, like, get out of the way, get down or something. I mean, it made for a good shot, camera wise, but that it's just a small thing really. But yeah, I had weird feeling about that. And then this is where Maggie announces her position, that she's not accepting the deal. And, of course it was predictable because of the flash forward. It might have been surprising otherwise. But again, I feel like they didn't really give us the best look into why. I'm almost wondering if there's an ulterior motive, just because like I feel like we didn't get the best explanation of it. And then this is the scene I've been talking about. He shows up with ice cream, of course using a princess's trick from last week where she's like, if you bring food, they have to let you in. So I like that. That was a nice touch. But this whole scene, it goes on way too long, way too sappy. She's upset because, how did you not know that it wasn't me? And dude, I'm just not invested in it. And, I don't know. I just don't really feel it. So she's really pissed off at Eugene because somebody else lied to him. I don't get it. I mean, I guess, I thought we had this deep connection. I mean, how deep of their connection could it really have been? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They had a few conversations on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's not like they lived together for, like, 3 months or something like that. I don't know. Doesn't seem founded to me. And that's What's-Her-Face announcing that she's leaving. And then we get this conversation with Pamela we already talked about, where Pamela's like, I know that you're doing this for you, and all of that, and, like, pulling out of the deal. And then we get Lance here throwing a tantrum in a way, like a very controlled tantrum, but he's like, I'm gonna kill zombies to feel better. So he shoots zombies. I counted the bullets. They only shot 6 bullets, so I appreciate that. At first I was like, wait, was that 7 bullets? No, it was 6. But he shoots up in the air to attract zombies. He shoots zombies, yada yada. And then Aaron comes in and he lies to Aaron. I like the directing of, like, how they had the final zombie. Like, he kind of ignores him. He turns around and is like, yeah, Pamela's in on the deal. We're going to take more people. I don't know if this means, like, there's a fissure going on and Lance is going to start putting things in do his own thing, basically. I feel like that's what's going to happen. But I do like this ending. And he lies to Aaron and says, yeah, Pamela's in, even though she's clearly not. And that's the end of the episode. And then we get the preview that we talked about at the beginning. So that's this episode, guys. Not really a lot to chew on, and some minor things to pick about. But in general, I feel like these episodes are necessary, but it's not the most exciting. So that's where I'm at with it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Hit me with the like if you like, and definitely sub if you want to see more Walking Dead content. We're going to be reviewing the entire final season and all the spinoffs and all of that. So keep it locked on Shook Earth Media if you want to watch more Walking Dead content. But until the next time, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out, everybody. Have a good one.